Hello there, right here we have a brand new 1.17 snapshot. This is 21W08A. It comes with a bunch of new changes to the cave generation. I'll be looking at all the new changes and what this means for survival Minecraft. And after watching this video, hop on over to my Twitch stream, link down below, where I open up a server with the newest snapshot for all the viewers to join me as we play around with the latest features. You can find the IP on my Discord. The first big change in this snapshot is that they changed the Grimstone to be called Deepslate. So this is Deepslate. We also got the cobbled Deepslate, which is the more broken up form. There's also the polished Deepslate, and we still have the brick variation, which is called Deepslate bricks. There's Deepslate tile, and then there is the chiseled, which looks like that. So a slight name change, also some texture changing too. You can definitely see the difference on the top for the normal slate versus the cobbled. So now to make the polished variation, you do need to have the cobbled variation. So if you just mine up some of the Deepslate, it's going to turn into the cobbled variation, similar to stone turning into cobblestone. If you use a silk touch pick, then you're actually going to get more of the actual item. They also added some new textures for the ores, and they gave them a deep slate variation as well. This is just called gold ore, where this one is called Deepslate gold ore. You can see this one looks a lot more star shaped, and there isn't really that much difference in the stone variation and the Deepslate. They blend together much better. Here we got iron, and we also got Deepslate iron. Definitely a unique design with that sideways motion. It's a lot more pixelated too. Here we got the Lapis. Lapis does look like the same shape on both of them, but it is quite different than what we're used to. We got diamonds, still iconic. This one really sticks out, looks really cool. And of course, the redstone, he made more like roundish, so it looks like it's protruding from the rock. It looks really vibrant. Almost looks kind of like rubies coming out of it. I think he did a really good job. You can still see the kind of the marks, the lines here in the slate in each of these. And over here are some of the textures he still hasn't added yet. So he hasn't got deep slate variations for coal, copper, or emeralds. And up here you can see the nether variations of the ores. They also changed the way that ores are distributed throughout the world. This is for the 08 snapshot. They changed it so it's a gradual decrease instead of being kind of jerky. So iron can be found prominently right here where it's the thickest in this diagram. Also high up in the very top of mountains, there's gonna be a lot of iron. But there is these small blobs of iron that can be found below Y level 0. And it's consistently throughout it. Also for diamonds, there's a lot more at the very bottom, and it gets less as you move upwards. But they also reduce the air exposure ones. So finding them on the edge of caves is going to be harder than actually digging. Maybe branch mining or paste mining might be useful once again. We also got the reduced air exposure for the gold. Gold is prominently just below Y level 0. Redstone is consistently throughout these levels, which is negative 64 all the way up to 16, but you can see there's a greater amount at the bottom of the world. Lapis is prominent right here in this region, right around Y level 0. But there is also a extra piece, which is just lapis that is not exposed at all. So it's hidden within the stone. This one's consistently throughout the ground area. Copper is kind of similar to iron, but it goes up a little bit higher. And we can see coal is more likely at the very surface. And if there is some really high mountains, they'll be in there. Of course, emeralds, they made them so they're easier to find the higher you go up in a mountain. That also means that there's less area for them to spawn in because the tips of mountains are smaller. Now, this is a good indication that mountains probably won't go any higher than 256 by this diagram. But once again, this is not the final one. They will make some tweaks to it. So probably if you are mining, you would want to mine around this level because you can mine in stone, which is a lot easier to mine than the slate. Or if you want to go for something like diamonds, you just mine at the very bottom. Now, they still haven't added in the lava down here yet, so we don't know where that's going to go. That's going to really determine how far down people mine. But I like the idea of mining in different areas to get different types of ores. Now, I did put this little hidden message in last week as well as this week. I said, yes, the message is still here, but can you find the other one? Now, last time we seen andesite being able to spawn in lower than Y level 0. But now they changed that. Instead, we'll see the new tough block as its replacement. So you can see it kind of blends in better. You can see it there. And this is all going to generate below Y level 0. They also changed these geodes so that on the very outside edge of them, we no longer see the tough block, but instead we see smooth basalt. So before we had basalt block, and we also had the polished basalt, but now we have the smooth basalt. And you can get smooth by just smelting up normal basalt. I've designed quite a few basalt farms, which I'll link down below, that are extremely fast and get you tons of this stuff. But yeah, now you get the new smooth basalt. It has the same texture on all the sides. Besides tweaking these blocks, they also tweaked blackstone a bit more. It looks like I can see the cracks more prominently. They also added so mine shafts can generate in open air now that we have these proper supports for them. Speaking of the air, they come out with more particles for the spore blossom. So now they will kind of appear all around in the air. Not only will they drip off of it, you can see it's kind of like the nether where you see them in the air, kind of wisping around. This might be used kind of an indicator so players know that the flower is open, and maybe something special will be done when it's open because it's supposed to be able to open and close during certain periods of the time. I think it's really cool because you could bring this to your base and get all these particles to appear as well. They've made another change to the redstone tab. They finally have added in the slime block and the honey block to this tab. Something that's been very much requested because these things are often used to make slimestone, which is just a terminology used to make flying machines. This is awesome. Otherwise, I normally have to go to my save hotbar, which has the honey block right there with all my other flying machine components. So it's cool to have them all right here. They are used more in redstone than they are used for like decoration, which I used to have them over here. Deepslate also has a unique sound. So you can also find the Deepslate ores naturally inside of the world. So you can see them like in here and here. They match a lot better with the rest of the textures. They are twice as tough to mine because of the block that they're within. So it's going to be a little harder to mine them up. I think that is cool. Kind of a interesting way to implement it so that the deeper you go down, the harder it is to mine ores, even though you find better ones like diamonds. They also added so cracks can now be carved into the ground. This looks more like cracks. So yeah, I guess there's kind of ways you could just kind of fall in and you'd have to kind of pillar back out. Could be to encourage players to look for like mines and stuff. Some of these cracks can be extremely deep and very narrow. So it's kind of like a ravine, but much harder to see. So wow, look at that. Yeah, if you fall down that, you are pretty much dead. But it does also let sky access come down into caves. Henrik also came out with this tweet and image kind of explaining where the different names for the caves come from. So they got the noise caves, which kind of referred to the random noise field that you see, the TV static. And this is kind of what it would look like as a cave. And then from the noise cave, there is the cheese variation as well as the spaghetti. So the cheese caves is where they take the light areas and they remove stuff. And this is the open area where the dark stuff is, where the stone is. Where the spaghetti one is where all the light or white they have as stone, and then only along the edge do they have it be air. And this is where the actual cave is formed. And then the actual really dark stuff is also stone. So just the edge of this, which they turn into a cave, that's what makes it like spaghetti. And then they have examples here. The spaghetti ones are really long and stringy. They're following these kind of edges. And the cheese ones are kind of like little pockets of air. Here's another good example of the cheese caves and spaghetti caves and how they come together and kind of connect each other. And then he also has variants for how hollow it is as well as how frequent they are. So there could be a lot of variations they can make with the caves by using this type of generation. This one's the cheese and over here is the spaghetti. You can see they can make it so that there's really thin ones or there's really thick ones. They're really spaced out or they're really congested. There's also the noise pillars, which is the pillars we see. And I got some right here. You can kind of see them, how there's different variations of them. There can be none. There could be some that are connected, some that are spaced out, and then there are ones that are really tight together. Then they can also be thin or thick. So once again, a lot of variation just in the pillars. Here's some examples they got. They also have illustration of how they can make them quite a bit of variety from how often they appear to how thick they are around. Here's another good example. Henrik also put up a tweet saying that they are experimenting with making it so that ores possibly will be less common if they are exposed to air. That means you wouldn't be able to see as many ores when you're moving through a cave that is open like this. But if you would happen to find a cave that is like full of water, then since it's not exposed to air, that means you would find more ores. Trying to encourage people to go actually diving in these caves full of water to get their ores. I think that's kind of a cool idea to give people incentive to go into these type of caves. Henrik also mentioned a while ago that he was working on a mesh type of cave, which is kind of a very narrow and small kind of spaghetti caves. And it sounds like they're still going to try to add those. Now the old cave generation is still in the game. They call those the carvers, which are like these type right here. And Henrik does mention that these type of caves are a lot more intensive on the computer to try to generate. And that's why they're moving kind of away from those into the new caves. Now there was a problem in the previous snapshot. There was a problem that these carver caves, once they reach Y level 0, they'd just be immediately cut off, which looked really strange. So that's now been fixed. So we should be able to see normal carver cave generation down here, including ravines. So it could be possible to find like a triple ravine and you could almost get all the way down to the bottom of the world, the single hole that you find on the surface. Now with the old cave carver, they also did some variety with it too, so that way it isn't so noticeable and they will blend in more with the newer caves. Also in last snapshot, they removed a lot of the really big caves or made them a lot more rare. Instead they're going to make them less rare, but not as common as they were in the 06 version. And the main reason they did this is to try to kind of fill the big empty areas where there's like no caves, but these will also be filled with other types of caves eventually. So they are looking into making sure there isn't these really big areas where there's no caves. Now in last snapshot, we've seen some of these geodes that would just generate right in the center of a cave, and some of them would even be floating. And they said they removed it so that geodes won't just generate floating in the air. Now, King B-Dogs has been working on the Warden, which is a new mob that's going to live way down here in a special biome. He mentioned that the mob is going to be pretty menacing and intelligent while also being horrific. I think that's really cool to have something at the bottom of the Minecraft world that kind of discourages players from going down that far unless they are prepared or willing to take on this crazy creature. There's a problem that the new root dirt wasn't putting off loud enough walking noise, which they have fixed. They also fixed these support pillars for the mine shafts. They were these four-sided oak wood, but now they are what you would expect, which are the oak log. We'll be coming out with a B snapshot because they said they accidentally didn't put in the generation of iron ore in properly, so there's a lot less in the snapshot than what they're supposed to be. I'll see all you guys over at my Twitch stream, and it should be a lot of fun. Bye-bye!